This is the place to be. You know, from every month we try and bring on somebody from a different part of the world to give us an indication of what's going on. Good morning, Andreas.
Good morning from Greece.
Oh my goodness, okay. We never know if Greece is going to be online, offline, if there's a strike, if there's a bus. We have no clue, but I'm very happy to see you, my friend.
I'm an exception in Greece.
Yes, you are an exception in more ways than one. We are not here this morning to talk about all the woes and all the economic stuff that goes on in Greece that we read about every day. Rather, we are here to celebrate Global Entrepreneurship Week. And there has not been anybody as involved on a European level than Andreas Stefanidis in Athens. So what I'd like to do is give the floor to Andreas to give us an overview of what's happening in Europe as far as Global Entrepreneurship Week and entrepreneurship in general. So my friend, take it away.
Thank you very much for the opportunity, Les. Good morning, everybody. Good morning from Greece. As Les said, in Greece specifically things are quite difficult. That means that we have a lack of liquidity in the market for almost all the businesses. Also the public sector, they expect, according to the new measurements of IMF and European Commission, to fire public servants, and that will happen for first time in Greece. And this is why we have a huge turmoil in the society. Also, the last week we had a very political volatility because the previous prime minister had to resign and put a technocrat on his position to connect the two major political parties, because all the reforms that the country has to go through, it was impossible to be voted in the parliament by just one political party. So we had a big political turmoil. Actually, we expect on the 15th of December to get the additional financing for the country, the sixth installment, as we say, because they have problem to pay the pensions of retired people and the salaries of public servants. However, despite all these negative measurements and problems, actually, we can say, in the market, I have to say that the positive thing is that the mentality of people changes slowly from the consumption to the production. In Europe and in Greece specifically, we have a big problem with risk capital on the early stage of young entrepreneurs' business plan. So it's almost impossible a young person after finishing the university with a good idea, with a good business plan and a lot of energy and efforts to have access to financing. And we speak for amount like $50,000 to $500,000, let's say, maximum. So a lot of new ideas are lost in Europe and in Greece even more because we don't have financing on this small interval. The banking sector for the moment is almost destroyed it, and they have to be consolidated and to make a merging between the banks in order to survive the economic crisis. But also, as it is, as I know, in the United States as well, they are very conservative. And something like business angels, that it is very common in the United States, that's something that we do not have in Greece, and it is not as well developed in Europe as well. The Global Entrepreneurship Week now, as Les said, gives the opportunity of young people, the new generations, to be connected throughout the countries. This year, the Global Entrepreneurship Week has the participation of 123 countries around the globe. I started on Monday to lecturing in two different regions of Greece, in the university students, to choose as a pathway entrepreneurship. I have to say that 6-7 years ago, the same lecturing, I had no participants. Now I had in one class 150 students, in another group I had 50 students. So for the size of Greece, for me, this is a change. People, they can see now that they do not have opportunities anymore to the public sector. They cannot find a secure job in the private sector, and I mean the existing big companies. No, now they want to try, they have to try, first of all, to create their own future, not all of them, but those that they will success. And as I told them, to see the social impact, if they are successful, they can create one job for themselves, and also, if they grow, they can also create jobs for their friends. And job creation in Europe, and especially in Greece, with 43% unemployment of youth right now, I think it's a very serious issue. So, global entrepreneurship, we give us the opportunity, and to the new generations, to have easily access to new markets. Without risk capital, not many things can happen. So the combination of access to markets with small amount of risk capital between the countries for innovative, extroversion, young entrepreneurs or entrepreneurs in general, I think is a recipe of success, is a recipe of boosting again the entrepreneurial spirit between the people around the globe.
You know, we discussed a long time ago one of the important pieces of collateral when applying to an angel or an investor or a bank is often intellectual property. Are you seeing some changes in intellectual property development? And, you know, I'll get to an interesting sidelight in a minute, but how is intellectual property being protected and being leveraged?
Okay, that's the issue, a very serious issue. Thank you very much for reminding me, Les, that we don't have a big development in Greece about that. First of all, because the intellectual property right office is on the public sector and they have problem of survival for the moment. And second, because the mentality of entrepreneurs, older entrepreneurs, young entrepreneurs, is not so well developed and trained to protect their intellectual property rights. And as I said at the beginning, there's not initial capital to support young entrepreneurs and innovative businesses to have the appropriate funding to create a patent at European or global level. For the moment, as I told you in the summer, we submit on the Ministry of Development a very special mechanism for an entrepreneurial assessment for innovation. Because as you know, in Europe and especially in Greece, we have a lot of corruption. That means people that they are responsible to evaluate business plans to give, let's say, European or national funds, they use methods that they are not open to the society, and we don't know the effectiveness of this existing mechanism. Actually, we know that they are not effective because we don't have the creation of high growth businesses. So we propose to the government that the assessment of new ideas and new businesses is the most crucial thing before giving any penny to a new business. We have to test the business. The market has to show if the business is good and it has potential for growth, and then to do the step of starting the business, protecting the intellectual property rights, if any, and expanding to new markets. Actually, the specific paper has been submitted to the Kaufman Foundation as well, because the Kaufman Foundation asked for ideas and papers all around the globe for entrepreneurial assessment, because similar problems you have in the United States as well. And we will have the decision, if they like or not, the mechanism, at the end of November. So I will keep you posted.
About 3 weeks ago, I had the pleasure of meeting the chief financial officer for a major Eastern European automobile manufacturer. And we discussed what his needs were and what his opportunities were trying to do business here in America with American companies and in Europe with European companies. And I asked a question about intellectual property. He has an extensive dealer network, and all of his intellectual property as it relates to parts, equipment, computer software, his entire dealer network is buying their goods from China. They have no intellectual property protection, and the dealer network has absolutely no allegiance to the company to support the company and buy their products from the company, as opposed to buying it on the gray or black market from other sources. Are you running into this problem, and how widespread is this issue in Eastern Europe and Western Europe?
No, I think we don't have this problem in Greece or in Eastern Europe because simply we don't even use intellectual property rights. Our economies, they were very much isolated. We used to sell between ourselves. So we never thought that if I want to sell outside of the country, I have to protect my intellectual property rights. If it is a software, it is more difficult and complicated. If it is hardware, I need, let's say, a patent. Very few examples in comparison with the majority of the businesses, not only in Greece but in Southeastern Europe, they go through the appropriate mechanism. There is no culture for that. You can just see the formal statistics of OECD to see that in Greece in 2009 we had only 18 or 24 applications for patents, and on the same year in Germany we had thousands applications of patents. Not all of these applications were from people from Germany. This is for sure. Many scientists from Greece, they go abroad with investors and they apply in Germany, in other strong European countries, or even in the United States to protect the property rights, the intellectual property rights, because the mechanism is more well developed.
So what are the industry sectors in Europe right now that are getting the most attention?
First of all, it is communication information technology, because we have very good software engineers in Greece as well. We have excellent universities, and the level is a high level of universities. This is why many of them, they try to find a future in California and get financing, or in China, in Shanghai. Also, we have engineering sector with the development of new products, a little of biotechnology, and yesterday I had a very serious meeting that they tried to innovate again in the agricultural sector, because in Greece we have an excellent climate and a very good landscape, and you know that Mediterranean nutrition has been a high valued product from UNESCO. So these are the things that we have to develop and innovate and protect for creating a future for our country and Europe.
Very interesting. I have a few more questions, but I'd like to have the audience participate. Does anybody have any questions? We have a handheld microphone. Just put your hand up and Sarah will come to you. I was invited yesterday from the Italian bio sector committee to speak about innovation and entrepreneurship in Italy. And we all know that Italy is going through the earlier stages of economic stress as well. But their biotech sector seems to be alive and well. What are you seeing in terms of bio development throughout Europe, and are they are they able to self-fund at all throughout other parts of Europe as opposed to just coming to more developed, more aggressive investor bases?
It is true that one of the highest budget of the European Commission in research, it is in the biotechnology research. So I think that there is a lot of future there. However, the culture and the public sector of Europe is not as entrepreneurial as in the United States. And also the societies. As I was teaching yesterday to the students, we do not have a lot of mobility. That means that you take the airplane and you go to Florida very easily. You go to California, like being in the same country. In Europe, we don't have that so easily. Young people, they never been to Paris, they never been to Italy, they never been, let's say, to Spain. So they don't understand the benefits and the challenges of the common market. Because in Europe, we have a common market of 500 million people. And the countries in Europe, they don't get this potential. In Greece, we have no exports, practically. We have a very small amount of exports in comparison with our capabilities. And this is the problem. Without exports, we cannot every time ask for funding from the other European countries or IMF with lending format.
Anybody have any questions? Floyd, let me just get one. Let me get the microphone over there.
Hello, can you hear me all right?
Yes.
Okay. My name is Floyd Holt. I'm the president of the American Science and Technology Center. We just came off a Skype conversation with Germany the other day. And the question I asked them was, how do the people in Germany prize education? Do they see that it's a path to a better life, or do they believe in the Bill Gates, Zuckerberg drop out of school, become a billionaire approach?
You mean in Greece?
In Greece.
Okay, because I don't have experience from Germany.
Right. No, but do people in Greece prize education? Do they see it as a path to better life? Or do they fall prey to the culture, rock stars, athletes, as I call it, athletes, actors and rock stars?
No. It's exactly what you said. We have the first one. For many decades, the last 60 years in Greece, the families grew up with very difficult circumstances, either agricultural production or entrepreneurship, and it was very, very difficult for them, very hard working. So they had a dream to find money and pay for the education of their kids, and the majority of them not to have a bad life like the life that they had. So they advised to them and all the society to become either lawyers or doctors, because that will give them a very high status in the society.
Oh, here too.
The result, we have a lot of educated people from law schools or medical schools, either in Greece or all over the world, and we have no demand for them, and they are unemployed. And we have no people with the appropriate skills for crafts or the appropriate skills for entrepreneurship and many other professions that we have a problem. So one thing we did very well in Greece, we educate the new generations very, very well, either in Greece or in good universities in Europe or in the United States.
So I have a second part to my question, and that is, if you were to come to America from the European perspective, and I've been invited, like Les has, to speak in Italy as well at a physics conference, okay, international conference. But if you were to come to America, what do you see from your vantage point in Europe as America, because the world is on the brink? What do you see as a weakness here that if you came here, you would change that first above all else? Do you see, how do you in Greece perceive America? Do you see it as the strongest country in the world, or do you say, boy, I sure wish we could change that, or that's what I would change if I landed there?
Okay, yes. I have a good experience of America because I study in America, actually the State University of New York at New Paltz, and every July I come and as a visiting professor and teaching 2 summer courses. So since 2004, every July I have coffee with Les, dinner, and we have good time in July. I have to say that The organization of the system in America, it's much, much better and more effective, and I mean the public sector and the, all the networks, than in Greece. And America gives you opportunities. Here in Greece, most of the networks are, as we say, cartel networks, protected from specific families and business or political interests that exist in the country the last 80, 100 years. It's very difficult. All the good businesses, you turn on the page and you see the same interest or the same family of entrepreneurs to be behind. That's something that, from my point of view, I didn't see in United States. On the other side, the disadvantage is that you don't have the cultural connection that we have in Europe. Our countries, they have huge history, so the people of every country, they feel even more, patriots, because many, many generations of their families used to work in the same land. So they have something more strong inside them to go forward. However, we never been entrepreneurial. All the European countries, they had, as a protector of the society, the government. And that is the problem. If I had a chance to change something in the United States, is to bring back the production from China to the United States.
Excellent.
That's a great answer to my question. I have one final thing, and then I'll surrender the microphone back. But that was kind of a rhetorical question, because we see our youth and the future of our country maybe in jeopardy, and this is confidential now, just between you and I, okay? We see sometimes our kids as fat, dumb, and happy. I use that expression because they're texting their friends, they're playing video games, they're not really learning science education in the schools very much. The schools are said to be failing. We're number 26 in the world in certain areas. What about the education of America's kids? I mean, do the Europeans look at our kids in America and say, boy, those kids are fat, dumb, and happy? Or do they say, no, we wish we were there, or that's the best educational system in the world?
No. They know very well that the education system in the United States is one of the best education systems in the world. So many families, they try to save money and invest for the future of their kid to study in the United States. That is for sure, it's certain. Not only because the professors in the United States are better, but the way that you link and you disseminate information to the students, and the whole structure and the administration of the educational system, either the public or the private sector, it is much more effective than in Greece. In Greece we have excellent professors, we have excellent scientists with research papers, but many times you lose your courses because they protest against the political situation or the economic situation. And not only now with the crisis, many years. I couldn't speak about entrepreneurship in the public universities 5 or 6 years ago. I was afraid because they would come after me, because I had to speak entrepreneurship. They feel that I protect the big rich people and the capital.
Don't you?
Now they understand that entrepreneurship means creation, means unleash your ideas and create jobs. And actually, in order to survive from a speech like that, I'm saying to them that feel entrepreneurship not just to create your own business or to create a business in general. Even if you work in the public sector, be effective in your position, in your place. Be entrepreneurial mind.
Well, there you go. We're going to have to leave it there, my friend. But as always, you do a great job, and we love them. What can I tell you? Thank you, Andreas.
Thank you very much. Have a wonderful day from this.